Hey, St. John. Welcome to the Post-Sermon Podcast. I am Deaconess Dehlia, and I have Olivia Connors here with me as well. And we are conducting a special interview today with two musicians, Jill McFadden and Ben Keys. They are from Ordinary Time. Welcome, you guys.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hi. Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. I am curious, where are you guys located? Where are you from?
We all live different places. So our other bandmate is in Vancouver, but I'm currently in Baltimore, Maryland.
And I'm outside of Boston, Massachusetts. So about 45 minutes out of the city. Yep.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you guys are all in different cities. So what church do you guys currently attend?
Want to go, Jill?
Sure. I attend a church called St. Moses Church in Baltimore. My husband and I planted it about 10 years ago. It's a non-denominational church. Close to Johns Hopkins University, kind of in the center of the city in Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, and my wife and I go to a congregational church, which is called Trinitarian Congregational Church in a little town called Wayland up in Massachusetts. And congregational churches are not really sure how it functions as a denomination, but they sort of are organized together a fair amount. But it basically just means the congregation itself votes on the church policy and that kind of thing.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Do you guys serve as musicians at those churches?
Yes, I'm on a sort of a monthly rotation, so to speak. Yeah.
Nice.
Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just both in volunteer capacities at our churches at different points in my life. I've been a worship arts director at churches, but right now just happy to be involved in music when I can at our church.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So could you tell us a little bit more just about your musical background, how you kind of got to the point you're at now with your band?
Yeah, Jill can definitely maybe give a fuller picture, but we all have different musical backgrounds. There's three of us in the group Ordinary Time, and all of us have kind of rich musical histories growing up, and singing in choirs and whatnot. My background is kind of as an instrumentalist. I've played a lot of different kinds of music in different chapters of my life. So played a lot of bluegrass and Irish music as well as blues and gospel stuff, and that kind of informs my musical sensibilities. Written some choral music for gospel choirs, that kind of thing.
I can see some of those influences in your music for sure.
Yeah. And then meeting Peter and Jill was awesome. That was in grad school. Maybe you can say more about this story, but we met in a class on the history of church music, which was really funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, we just we had a similar taste in hymns and a similar interest in old church music, and that's kind of what drew us together when we met in grad school.
What about you, Jill?
I grew up doing music with my family a lot. My parents were both involved, just volunteers, church musicians. My dad directed the choir. We always had him in the front row because my mom was a soprano, and we had to be up there to supervised by him. And sang together, learned how to harmonize with my sisters, and took instrumental lessons growing up. And then I majored in music in college too. And it was after that time and through some challenges with my faith too, and really thinking through what does this mean to me. After college, realized, well, I have this degree in music. Music means so much to me, but also my faith means so much to me, and I haven't really thought about how those two related to each other or interacted and affected each other. And that kind of drew me to Regent College, to their theology and the arts program in Vancouver, and that's where we met and started to play music together, sort of a folk tradition, a little bluegrass, and it just that I think ordinary music for us is all of our musical interests are broader than that, but there's something very special about when we come together and do that type of music.
Yeah. I really enjoy the blend that you have, the three of you. And I like how you said that you grew up harmonizing with your sisters, because I have two sisters and we also grew up doing that. And we didn't necessarily have a bluegrass background, but we had a couple albums that we loved. And so we imitated those harmonies. We really enjoyed that style too.
This is something I feel like I missed out on in my family. I have two older brothers, and we did not sing in harmony.
You did not harmonize.
Really, I felt sort of deprived of that as a youth. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for sharing about that. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about this song. And before I start, so my idea for this podcast is kind of a teaser. So I want to challenge my congregation to not look up this song and just wait until Easter and maybe make some guesses and see what it sounds like.
Oh, wow.
But now let's just maybe describe or talk about it a little bit. I really wanted to know if there was something specific that triggered the writing of this song. How did these ideas come about?
This history goes back a long time, doesn't it, Ben?
It does. Do you want me to take a stab at this, Jill, or do you want to?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. Well, we were in a class on the history of church music, and I believe this song very early on is a long time ago. So this is me reconstructing it as much as I can. But there was another student, a woman who was. We were writing the song together, collaborating, and I think that the inspiration for it came from kind of a sense that there's not a lot of church music about the hope of the physical bodily resurrection.
Yes, I have said the same thing.
There's songs about Jesus' resurrection that we sing once a year, and there's songs about being with God in heaven, maybe, but not about rising from the grave ourselves, having glorified bodies. The hymn For All the Saints is a hymn. If you sing all the verses, that actually has something about the bodily resurrection in it that's very powerful. But that's,
so we sing that.
That's not many.
We sing that at our funerals here.
Right. And but there's just not a lot about that. And I think this other woman, Stacy, she's not a member of Ordinary Time, but she was a friend when we were in grad school and a very good musician. And we started writing the song together, and we wanted to, we thought, we were struck by how strange it was that so few church songs actually reflect on our final hope and our destination in the new heaven and the new earth. And if this is where we're heading, why don't we sing about this more? So that was the impetus for writing the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's all kinds of reasons for why maybe that, sort of a false spirituality that denies the goodness of the body and whatnot. And we wanted to kind of go in the other direction and write a song that was literally about having a body again.
Mm-hmm.
in a very literal way, in a very kind of visceral way. We wanted to somehow communicate that, and that was where we started. Anything else you want to say about that, Jill? I'm trying to reconstruct it in my head.
Yeah, no, that was good. I mean, the funny part of it was for this end of the term project that we all did. So we all paired off and had to write a different song in a style, like kind of going through the history of church music. So we do not use the song that Peter and I wrote, which was a Jewish style chant.
Oh.
and everyone, had a different century or part of a century. And so that's kind of the backdrop from where it came from, which was fun and funny. So, and then when we did it never really fell off the radar. Ben recorded it with a live recording with the gospel choir back in those days, which was fun. And he kind of revamped it a bit for Ordinary Time. And when we decided to put it on an album, I think I asked you, Ben, I was like, this is like great news that hallelujah, we will rise again. But in a recording setting, could we put something, because the song started right with the chorus. Could we put something kind of as a prelude or an introduction that kind of posits, like says the problem, to which the chorus is the good news of an answer. And so then you wrote much later, just a few years ago, wrote the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
And I love songs with lyrics that you can like chew on and unpack for a while, you know. And at the very end of that section, Ben just writes, "Bodies that grow weak and ill are all we've ever known, but I want my body back when this earth is finally home." And there's just a lot there. Like, all we want is the fall, and what we are groaning for and yearning for isn't just this leaving this broken world, but it's actually coming back to it with a new body in a newly made earth. And in the sense that we, you know, when it will finally be our true home, like we're yearning and aching for it to be now. So that was the problem, to which the rest of the song is the glorious good news. So I love it because it saves, well, it's just a song that Easter can so easily be about Jesus' resurrection, and we can go to heaven because of that, which is like really, really great news. And that is what Easter's about. But Jesus' bodily resurrection is also good news because it's the first fruits of all the resurrections to come and all the new bodies that will be made again. So,
yeah. There's so much to respond to here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's really interesting how you wrote the first part of the song later. And I'm really glad you did, because it makes the Hallelujah, we will rise again, all of that just so much sweeter. At least when I first heard it.
Yes, and I think that's so interesting to know that detail too, because just listening to it and starting to plan for my band, I just had the feeling that those paragraphs belonged to one of our soloists. And then the band would kind of come in after that. It just seemed to fit.
I would totally do that too. Yeah.
So that's really interesting to know how that came about.
It's kind of, I think I was glad that Jill prompted to do that, to have a little sort of a setting the stage for the celebration part of it, because it is, I feel like so much of my own music, but also whatever the context, whether it's church music or other music, trying to communicate a longing. You know, there's something that's such good news, and we're placing our hope in it, but it is not available to us in its fullest sense right now, and yet everything in our being is crying out for it because of how we were made and who made us, and so I was trying to set the foundation of just where we're at right now, which is a longing and a you know, there's the fear of death that's draped over all people, and it's shameful, and it's but it's where we find ourselves, and we find ourselves denying that death is real or being paralyzed by fear, neither of which are really the Christian response. and so I don't know. I was really, really thought it was a good call that Jill sort of prompted me to write that first verse, because it, I think to come straight in on Hallelujah, we'll rise again you'd lose the potency of that as a celebratory kind of statement.
Right.
Without a little bit of the darkness first. But we did end up editing out a verse because of it, because the song was going to be too long. And so the original version of the song had a verse, you know, how each verse is, you know, literally talking about, you know, a part of the body, our hands and our feet, and then the things that we can do with our hands and our feet as a kind of a little picture of the earthiness and the physicalness of the new heaven and the new earth and what we're going to be doing. And so there was a third verse about give me back my throat, just basically, I want to sing in your kingdom. I want to shout in your kingdom. Give me back my throat. So it's followed the same pattern as the other verses, but we decided to nix that one and kind of rely on the hands and feet to represent the whole body. And mostly to make, you know, to make room for that first intro.
Right. That's so funny. That was literally one of my questions I was going to ask, was if there was another verse that you guys had written that maybe you didn't end up using. So that's really,
there's so many options there.
There's a lot of options. Yeah.
I know. You could go on and on all day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the like physical, visceral theology in this. And I think that's why it stood out to our pastor, who was the first one to show it to me and suggested it was a couple of years ago. He really wanted us to do it and finally making it happen. But I was curious. So it looks like the album at least came out on Spotify in 2024. So how many years was this one kind of in the works?
Oh, man.
The album or the song? Sorry.
The song.
Oh, okay.
What do you think, Jill?
I mean, it's like a 20-year-old song. Part of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
I think when our producer for this last album was Isaac Wardell of like Porter's Gate stuff. I don't know if you know Porter's Gate.
I think I've heard of it.
He challenged us. Yeah. We had never really worked with a producer before at all. And he challenged us to write 100 songs and then choose, 10 or so for the album. And we just had never had the capacity to operate like that before. We're just kind of like, okay, we have 13 songs. Let's do an album. So we did write more than that, not 100, but a lot more. And I think it was during that time. So I think we recorded in 2023 or something. So the couple years leading up to that was when Ben kind of brought that song back out and redid some of the harmonies and just some of the vocal stylings, I guess, more for Ordinary Time. And then the next year, probably, or the year before the album, added that first part. So, yeah.
Right. So once you recorded it as Ordinary Time, what was your, who covered which instruments and harmonies in your band?
Yeah, so the main change from the first version of the song was it was really a song for gospel choir, and which is very piano driven. So piano, bass, and drums, kind of like a gospel as in a sort of African American gospel tradition, sort of that sound. And we changed the instrumentation change for Ordinary Time was it became more of a guitar driven song,
right?
Which is just a little bit more of a folk gospel kind of Appalachian front sound. I don't know. That's not really an official genre, but it has it sort of took it out of the black church a little bit in how it sounded. And that was an instrumentation choice, but it was also just kind of like adapting the song to Ordinary Times kind of aesthetic, I guess. That was just and it wasn't a hard transition. It was just like, oh, we could do it this way, and it wasn't. But then we did, yeah. I mean, in terms of the vocal harmonies, I think I'm singing melody most of the time. Is that right, Jill?
I think so.
And then, and Peter's singing. I'm singing melody, but you all are both singing above me, I believe. But Jill, you could probably speak more intelligently about the harmonies than I can.
I'm trying to think of what Peter's harmony is. I'm definitely singing above you. And sometimes our harmonies and vocals are pretty manageable, I guess. Like sometimes Ben will sing melody on a verse, but Peter takes it over on the harmony, and we kind of switch things around.
Okay.
And but for this one too, for this recording that you find on Spotify or whatever, we had studio musicians with us for the first time. We had never done that before. So there's someone else on drums. There's an acoustic bass.
Okay.
Which was fun to play with. And then did you do keys for the recording on this, Ben? Or was that already yours? Was it Kai on the keys?
I think Kai played piano on this one. And I just did guitar. Yeah. But I used the piano on the song when it was a gospel choir song, but having the other studio musicians kind of freed me up to just play guitar. It was nice.
Yeah, that's really good to know, because I think instrumentation is one of the things I enjoy the most about leading my band. And we are very piano heavy. I play piano and I'm the one that's paid to be there. So I'm always there. And other people kind of rotate in and out. And this song is feels so natural for the acoustic, bluegrassy sound that you have. But it's interesting to know that the piano is in there. I mean, I heard it in there. It's not super easy to hear, but it's cool to know that that was more of a piano heavy song at one point.
You should.
Yeah, there was no guitar in it at all before. Originally, it was just like a little gospel choir, like bass, drums, and piano.
Isn't it on Spotify now, Ben? The old recording with the gospel choir?
It is. Yeah, it is. I think
there's another
Peter uploaded
You
it.
might be interested. It doesn't have the first part, but you could at least hear what it sounded like.
Sure, yeah, I'm very curious.
It's a live concert, so it's a little chaotic, but it's great. It's a fun recording.
So is that Ben? Do you have your own account, or where would I find that?
That's such a great question. Let's see. The name of the album is called, so it's Ben Keyes. It's spelled Keyes, and the name of the album, if you search for it, it's called "Were You There?" ? Are you here? ? And it's the Regent College Gospel Choir.
Okay, great.
And that's I think the last track on that CD, or one of the last tracks.
Okay, well, I will definitely listen to that. And I still challenge my congregation not to look it up, but maybe later.
Maybe don't include that information in the final edit.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Olivia, are you on Easter having a choir sing with the band?
We are not. We have acoustic guitar, we have mandolin, we have a drum set, we have piano. And I think that's it. We've talked about some auxiliary percussion. And then we have, I think, probably 4 singers at least, just in the band. So we do have a good amount of vocalists in our band.
Yeah.
And do you have a congregation that joins in with gusto?
We do. We are very blessed with that.
They're a singing congregation.
That's awesome.
Good. Yeah.
That's so important. One thing, can I just say one other thing about the words? Is that all right if I say?
Please,
sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Something that's happened to me on 2 occasions. One time when we were at Regent with the gospel choir there, and then one time when I taught this song to a little sort of impromptu choir at my church. On both occasions, someone came up to me, a member of the choir, and kind of had questions about the tone of the verses and how kind of demanding they sound.
Oh, interesting.
In
give me back.
Give me back my feet. I want to do this. Give me back my feet, God. I want to work. I want to work in your kingdom. Give me back my hands. And something about the tone kind of bothered them, or at least questions about it. It seems wrong to sort of demand these kinds of things from God. Anyway, so that made me think because it wasn't an accident. It was on purpose that there's this kind of insistent or emphatic kind of emphasis in the song. It's typical of a lot of gospel music. You don't tiptoe around what you are asking. It's just boom. But the questions kind of made me think more deeply about, okay, so why is this okay? And the main reason I came up with was just like, this is something that God has already promised and actually promised. And so it's not the tone or the demanding tone of the verse is not being bratty. It's not being entitled for God. It's a tone of confidence and trust that first of all, we're requesting something which is good, but it's also something that He's actually promised. So the insistence, that tone is comes from a place of trust that God's really going to do this, right? So anyway, but I was thankful that my 2 choir members felt comfortable coming and asking, because they were asked to stand up and sing this at the top of their lungs on a Sunday morning, and they wanted to be confident that this is actually a good thing to be singing.
Yeah,
or good.
That's great that they asked.
Yeah. I was encouraged. Anyway, I thought I'd just throw that in because it is the verses do. They can come off that way, I think, but really, it's supposed to be a celebratory kind of thing. But I think, depending on how you hear those words, it might sound a little bit audacious.
Yeah, I love how you responded to to that choir member. That's really interesting. I was just thinking on this past Sunday, we had a sermon that was like kind of just what you were saying like the sound of faith sounds like begging, and that we can beg God because he's promised to be committed to, like you said, committed to these promises, so we can beg him. And that's, I don't know, kind of made me think of that. It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
So
especially when you're in line with his will, because he's already said it. And
exactly.
I mean, and it's set, all the imperative statements toward God are all over the Psalms too, right? Like, do not let my enemies triumph over me. Do not let me be put to shame. Rescue me now, and all of these things. Also, to me, even reading them, it's like, oh man, he really, really knew God well to be able to talk to him like that. That is one way to look at it. But he knew, we know this is what God is doing and wants, and it almost feels honoring to him that this is what we're longing for and begging him to do, instead of just, I don't know, I feel like it's so easy to just not think about the final coming of God, when he's going to make all things new and make our bodies new, and how that's not the way to live either. Not asking him for it, because we're not thinking
out of a sense of politeness somehow, or something.
Right.
So you have spoken to this a little bit, just with the background of the song, but I was curious if, I guess if the song had been performed live, it sounds like it has. Have you played it in ordinary time concerts?
We have. Yeah. We played it just a couple of weeks ago at a chapel at a college with like 800 college students.
Oh, wonderful.
And it was really fun. And
how did they respond to it? Did they join in? Did they clap and stomp with you?
They did.
Nice.
And I know at least people were pretending to like do-si-do a little bit, so they were having fun with the bluegrass leaning of it. But no, overall it was just they were it felt pretty enthusiastic and like a good response. Would you say that?
Yeah. And we encouraged them to. I mean, we were trying to make it as participatory as possible.
That's one of the things I really like about it.
They were definitely willing. It was nice.
Yeah.
When I've done it at my church, and it was a long time ago, but I think we did this song once at our church for Easter, and it was, my church is a wonderful church. It's not, let's just say it's not a church where people naturally know how to clap on 2 and 4, and
sure.
And so, but there was the desire. So there was some clapping, but it wasn't. It's just culturally different enough from where most people are coming from in my church. So it was kind of like, it's New England.
I think that's one of the challenges of Easter, at least for me, is like introducing something new. It's kind of a good, like an exciting day for that, but then the congregation doesn't know it. And so it's not always as successful, but I have high hopes for this one.
Yeah. I've done it at other churches, my previous churches that I've worked for, on multiple occasions before Ben wrote that first part, or I've never used the first part, just the chorus, and set it up through scripture reading or different things instead of through that first part of the song. But I've never led it at a church like without ordinary time, without a choir. That's what I was wondering about you.
Well,
Olivia.
We have our little vocal section of the band that is very very confident.
Right.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
But it's always been fun and well received. Even in I used to work at a Presbyterian church, so also not like super expressive situation. But it's always been really fun to do live.
Well, very good. Unless you have another question on the song, but some questions about Ordinary Time, that's okay. So when did you guys form Ordinary Time?
This year is 20 years ago.
20 years
ago.
That's wonderful that you've been like performing actively and going for that long.
We were in second.
That's amazing.
I'm just kidding. yeah, we met in grad school, and we tell this story often. But Peter, our other bandmate, Peter and Ben had played some. Peter and I had played a good bit, and Peter brought the three of us together to do a Christmas album. He had enough money for 2 days in the recording studio, and he wanted Christmas presents for his family. So that's sort of how it started.
Oh, that's great.
And we did a mix of originals and Christmas carols, and then we did a house show for our friends in seminary, and it was just a great night and a great experience, and it was well received by people who knew us and loved us, but they were like, you should do this again, you should keep doing this. And so that's kind of how we started at Christmas.
Is that Christmas album on
20 years?
Oh, 20 years. Is that Christmas album on Spotify?
Yeah, that's our very first album. It's called In the Town of David.
Oh, I'll have to look that
up. It's very sparse, very, very, very sparse, low production, just kind of three voices, couple instruments on each song. That's kind of the music we're drawn to, but it's also what we had time to do.
Necessity, yeah,
by necessity. But it actually became a sound for us that we really liked. That sort of highlighted the 3-part harmonies, and didn't get too big with production and instrumentation and flash. Just kind of very, very simple. So we recorded that album and then did that little house show before we actually had a band name, I think. Is that right, Jill?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that first album, Olivia, I don't know how much you've recorded, but 14 songs recorded and mixed in the studio in 2 days. So this is like very
not a good idea.
I think one of those Simeon song might have literally been Ben doing it in one take. I think we called him One Take Kais for a long time after that.
Wow, that's really impressive.
I've lived it down. I've lived it down by screwing up many times since.
No, it was fun. We're so always kind of just astounded and humbled and thankful that we keep getting to see each other year after year.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, for years it was just sort of, because we live so far apart, and we would get together and we either do some shows or record something, and then literally right before we'd get back on the plane to go back to our homes, we'd be like, so what do we do next? It was literally like a event by event kind of not forecasting very far into the future, but really in a lovely way. God provided us with enough to do the next thing. And so it just became something that it's never been hugely like lucrative or anything, but it's been something that we felt called to do and that we enjoy it. And we've become such good friends over the years, and it feels like just a lovely reunion that happens to have music as part of it. So, yeah.
So can you speak to some of your musical influences as a band?
It's funny. It seems weird to say this, but I don't. Jill knows a lot more than I do here, but I don't have a very broad knowledge of Christian music, contemporary Christian music. Certainly, what the music in terms of musical influences. Most of what I look to is like a sound that people make that aren't necessarily playing church music. So
sure, yeah, I'd be interested to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like certainly Peter and I and Jill as well, I think probably have really appreciated the music of Gillian Welch and David Rawlings. Going back for many years now, they've been around for a long time. And to me, it's very much in the sort of roots American Appalachian kind of universe, but musically. And her songwriting and her performance and she's just a real master at writing just enough and performing with just enough emotion, not too much, but just the strength of her writing really comes through powerfully. And excellent vocal harmonies. That's something that even though there's only two of them singing, and Ordinary Time we have 3 parts, but they've been kind of an inspiration to me, because usually Gillian Welch sings the melody, and then her partner David Rawlings sings harmonies, but very interesting, unpredictable harmonies. They're not just,
yeah, I love that.
He's not just float. He's doing things that are not predictable, but they're also not trying so hard that they sound pretentious.
Right.
They're just like, right, and so there's that kind of subtlety and restraint that I love about their music. And it's something that, it's not that we sound like Gillian Welch and David Rawlings, but it's still like an inspiration for me. That's one thought that comes to mind. Yeah. You have anything, Jill?
No, I think I'd just second that. One thing Isaac Wardell told us when we were recording, he was like, "You're never going to really get much love in like Christian music world broadly, I don't think." Like he loves our music, but he's like,
that's okay,
because we're not like a full band CCM sound or something, but also we're not like singer-songwriter sound because we have the three harmonies so much. Like it's not, when we're all singing, hopefully you can tell where the melody is, but all really present. It's not like a backup vocal and a main singer. And that's what we love, and that's how we want it, but it's kind of weird. I mean, it's different, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, it's not in the indie Christian music singer-songwriter world, which there's a world, we're adjacent to that. But it's just a different sound than either end of the spectrum, I guess.
Sure.
So,
since we've been working on the song, I found myself listening to an album I really enjoyed in the early 2000s. It's the Peace-All Sisters. So there are three sisters that sang in three-part harmony, and they were on the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou soundtrack. And somehow it just triggered that memory for me, because those were the albums that my sisters and I copied the harmonies from.
Totally. Yes,
that's
me
awesome.
too. Oh, it's a great soundtrack.
No, it's so good. So good.
Okay, so what are some of your favorite of your own songs that you like?
Well, there's a song. It's really one of the first songs we recorded, and this is just what comes to mind. I've got lots of favorites, but it's one of Peter's songs, first track of our first album, which is called
Here Now, You House of David?
No, it's
like the Christmas.
The Christmas album, yeah. No, isn't it
Zion?
Wake
Zion.
Away,
Zion.
Yes,
Zion.
It's my favorite song. I don't know the name of it, but it is
Zion.
You figured it out.
And that's we got there. That has a lot of meaning to me, because it's really one of the first things that we did together, and Peter wrote it, and it just felt very fresh, and like Peter writes very well in a lot of minor keys, and something about that. It's a Christmas song. It's a song of celebration. The Messiah has come, and yet it is in this sort of haunting minor key that communicates the gravity of the moment, I think, in a way that a lot of I think modern ears tend to interpret minor key as just being sad rather than heavy and serious, but maybe good and joyful, And I think earlier in church music, you see more examples of sort of the weight and gravity of the theology is really carried by a minor key, really amazingly. It's good news. It's not sad, but it is, a weight. And I like that, even though it's very sparse and simple, and
it's gentle.
It's gentle. Yeah.
I haven't listened to the album enough to be able to call it to mind, but just scrolling on my Spotify, that is the one from that album that I saved. So I think it stood out to me.
The other one on that album for me is Mary's song, which is both from our first album. I like a lot of our songs since then too, but Mary's song is the setting of the Magnificat that Jill sings really beautifully, and that was one of those early songs. I was like, oh wow, these harmonies work. This is really fun.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah.
That's probably the first track. You have to get to track 3 to get to a major key, because I think the first 2 are both minor, and then it's Mary's song 3, maybe.
Yeah.
B flat major, I think. Yeah, I'll do a newer one for variety, but the first track actually of our most recent album is called Guide Me, and it's a setting that Peter worked on from, I think, Psalm 25. And one of the many things I like about it is the chorus is like gentle, reassuring. What are the lyrics of the chorus, Ben? Oh my God! Oh my God! Show me your ways. Lead me in your truth.
God, lead me in your truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that in. Don't edit that out.
Keeping it all in. Yeah.
When we were trying to figure out our own song. No, it's what I love about the song is its wide scope of emotion. What I feel like, which is in the psalm too. So I love that Peter could represent that, and the way and I love playing it live because I just feeling that broad range of emotion in real time while we sing it. But it is this asking God to show us his way, show us his path. But then the bridge is just kind of what we were talking about with the imperative statements and the begging to be rescued from a situation that seemed so dire. So sort of this lament, but it's not all lament. It kind of goes back and forth to trust and like. So I just really love the wide array of emotion and how music can capture that and really let you enter into it, even in a way that just, reading it maybe couldn't. And I mean, obviously the songs, it just means songs. They were always meant to be sung. We just don't have the original recordings. So one thing I love about setting Psalms, particularly to music, is just another way for another generation to enter in to the full experience of it.
Yeah. What about settings or locations that you've performed? Do you have any favorites?
Wow. I feel like we're not a big stadium kind of band, for whatever reason, God has not called us to the big stadiums. I love house shows, which are which are by definition small and intimate, and but there's something usually what we do when we're in a small venue like that, like a living room with seats and people gathered around, is we either sing with no amplification at all, or we sing around one microphone that just sort of picks up the ambient sound. And so we're not all mic'd individually. We're sort of huddled a little bit around the mic just to give our voices mostly a little bit of a boost so people can hear the harmonies a little bit better. But it's much less of a technological barrier between us and the audience. Where you're just there singing it right in front of them, and they're just hearing what it sounds like when three people are singing in a room. And there's something that I love about that. And of course, if someone is, if I'm singing a part that's low in my register and I'm singing the lead, I'll step into the mic a little bit and step back. There's a rich tradition in that in the bluegrass, and early old time music. There's one mic and you huddle around it, and if it's your time to solo, you step up to the mic and then you step back. And that's I love that. I love that. I love that. Both, there seems to be it's easier for us to communicate as musicians and to kind of respond in very quick ways or subtle ways to each other. And it also feels like we're a little closer to the people listening, and we usually just sing better.
And I usually hit you with my violin bow.
Yeah, because we're standing so close together. We're like I get the violin bow in the forehead.
Just out of curiosity, have you been to Ohio?
No, I mean, not together.
Never have.
Do you guys have upcoming shows coming up?
We have.
We don't, probably in November. We've been asked to come by our biggest number one fan, my dad, to Florida in November. But it's nothing's nailed down yet for really anything. But we have are you in, what part of Ohio are you in?
We're in Columbus.
Oh, okay. Is that where Peter's good friends, I think, live outside of Columbus? I mean, we'd love to.
Oh, wonderful.
Do something in conjunction with
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I would Can I answer the question too about places to play?
Yeah, please.
I agree with Ben. I love those settings too. I also really love playing for churches, and I love, and this is not happening every time. Sometimes you come to a church and you're part of another event or something, and a lot of people haven't heard your music, and that's fine. We love introducing people to new things, but there have been a couple times where, for whatever reason, there's something going on in the church, and they've been kind of preparing for this moment. I remember a church in Boston, not Ben's church, but another one, had been like doing a small group around some of the song lyrics and sort of using them devotionally for like, a month or two. And then it was just it was so humbling and such a gift to like play for a group of people that were like, that have been engaging with it already, which kind of reminded me when you asked us, Olivia, to do a podcast. I was like, oh my goodness, a church is like, hey, we like to engage with your music beforehand and then introduce it really thoughtfully to our congregation. We're like, yes, please, we will do that.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's why we do this, like for the church, for individuals' life of devotion, but also for the church corporately and churches corporately in their life faith. And so it's just that was really fun because people had questions and they were just ready. And then one time we played for a church, it was a larger church, and they were going through their own, like many churches have been through in the last few decades, sort of tension over, are we going to do contemporary worship? Are we going to do traditional worship? Those categories.
Yeah.
And they were kind of in their own place on their figuring that out. And when we came, it was a joint service, so everyone was there, and something about the folk style and the stripped instrumentation, it just seemed to work for everyone in a way that I think it's like different people would come up and it just felt like, okay, it was a little breath, and it was nice for us to be able to unify around something. Because the people who like contemporary worship, there's folk music is kind of big in some circles now with younger people. And so they could resonate with it and connect with it. But older people love the hymns and what we were doing with the harmonies. And, it just was, that was a really special thing too, to be able to not knowingly, but just be able to offer that as like a little something that could unify them in an unexpected way, I guess.
This leads right into the quote that I wanted to discuss. Are you familiar with Ryan Flanagan or liturgical folk at all?
Yes. We got to play in Austin a few years ago, and he actually sang with us a little bit.
Oh, wonderful.
So that was really fun.
Yeah, so I've listened to some podcast interviews he's done and found this quote from that. But I had a conversation with him over Zoom a few months ago, kind of about these topics. And it's just been at the forefront of my mind since I've been highlighting your music, and it is so stylized and so clearly like folk oriented. And it isn't really what like a lot of people are used to in the contemporary Christian world, or what is considered traditional church music. So I'll just read some of this quote, and then I have some thoughts to share about it. But Ryan Flanagan said, "I think it's important wherever you are in the world to put your ear to the ground and to listen for the sound that's already resonating there. If you sing 'I'll Fly Away' or 'I Saw the Light,' it is going to engage the people anywhere you go in the U.S. It's going to cause especially the old people in the room and the youngest people in the room to skip, to do a little leap in their heart." And he was saying basically like this informs his work as a music director and his style and instrumentation and his songwriting. And he encouraged me to kind of think through what that means for my congregation. And it's something I've been processing for a while because it's kind of a like unique way to look at it. And so we've incorporated some folk styles. We also have like a strong like German Lutheran influence. But I do notice the truth in that, in like how it kind of affects people's response and mood to hear these styles. Like my band they've done the Getty's Brightest and Best. And I've noticed that like response. We've done like a gospel style song on Easter in the past, My Redeemer Lives. And it's interesting to see like how people respond to that. And then just like old American hymnody, like if we ever schedule What a Friend We Have in Jesus, like I can immediately tell that people have perked up. So it's really interesting. Does that like affect your work as church musicians at all?
As church musicians?
Yes. Just like thinking about the local context and like how folk culture affects that.
Yeah, I think Ryan is totally right on that you need to have your ear to the ground. The gospel always, it's always received in a context, right? Like we're not receiving some propositional truth that didn't come from a certain context that we need to study and figure out, like Jesus' historical context and the historical context of the Jewish tradition at that time, and then also understand how that then impacts our own context. And we have to know our context in order to do that. And in my own personal experience, like I love Ordinary Time sound. I love it's so life-giving for me to be a part of it. I live in Baltimore City, which is a really racially diverse community. My church is pretty multicultural and intentionally so, and aspiring to be even more so. Ordinary Time music is not going to be our primary music. And before we hired our worship pastor, who's wonderful, when I was doing more music there, some people would come up and say, "But I love Ordinary Time. Can't you do some of that stuff?" And I'd be like, "That it's just not what it's musically." I'm just talking musically. Like the theology is awesome, but that folk sound or bluegrassy Appalachian sound is not what is going to resonate in Baltimore City.
Sure.
So much so, and that sometimes feels like a loss for me because I also love this, and so I'm intentionally drawing different influences and leading in a different way when I'm at my local church as opposed to when I might be at someone else's church, or
Right.
So I think he's right on that we need to know our context and know how to draw from, and how to get the best theology that we can in I want to say in a packaging that people understand and resonate with, but almost like in our heart language of the people there.
Right. I think this is a particularly interesting topic today too, because folk culture is not like alive in the same sense it was a few generations ago. So it's not necessarily like if you go into your church member's home, like they're going to be playing the banjo together. Like it's not really like...
Sadly.
Right.
Sadly.
Unfortunately.
The banjo player.
But there may still be a sense of like history there that people might not even realize. And they might respond to, which I feel like I've noticed, even if they might not like even be choosing that style on like the radio or whatever. It's just like something a little bit older than people's like conscious memory.
Sometimes I think there's an advantage because so often this is sort of a stereotype, but sadly pretty true. Like so many churches, there's the traditional hymns versus contemporary praise songs. Battle lines are drawn. My church here in Massachusetts, when my wife and I joined nearly 20 years ago, it was very divided. And there was actually two services, and the first service was, your hymns, and the choir would wear robes, and, mostly older people would come. It was early in the morning, and second service was, trying to be more welcoming to younger families and people that might be more drawn to contemporary worship music. And it was just, but the director, the pastor, and the music director were committed to bringing the congregations together, and not just getting comfortable being divided over music. And God's really honored that. I mean, like the church has really become one congregation again over the music issue, and we don't have two services with different music anymore, which is really which is a great victory in my mind. But sometimes I think that when there's just it's like politics. There's only two parties. There's a two-party system, and if you're not one, you're the other. And it in the worship kind of tensions with music, if your only two options are traditional hymns and contemporary praise songs, it's pretty sad and rigid, and sometimes something else that doesn't fit either category can bring people together. And I think that's the thing that I think you were describing, Jill, a little bit before. Like, Ordinary Time didn't really fit the traditional hymns on the organ, but neither did it fit the sort of contemporary praise choruses at all. But there was something about it because there was older words and I think a little bit deeper, more reflective words that take more thinking. But also it's like, guitars and banjos and fun sort of harmonies, and it was just different enough from both camps, so to speak, that there was some common ground suddenly. And I think that can be one advantage of just introducing a style or something like that is a little unfamiliar to everybody. It might not be the style that your church ends up embracing, and because there's sometimes I think worship directors can overdo it with just exposure of everything. I think it's good to find sort of a musical identity and to work on that as a community. But the sort of something that doesn't fit any category can be kind of disarming within a lot of the tensions that happen over music. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think, it kind of crosses boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, when we kind of bring that beat to the forefront and that like catchiness, it's also interesting to see what happens when that's not there, I guess. So like we have, like during Lent, we have our midweek services are like, we don't have like a traditional and contemporary midweek service, but it's all chant based. And it's like
it's not catchy, right?
Unique like experience to just like transition to that. So it's kind of like, like intentionally not catchy is kind of the other side of it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate what you said. I think it's good to challenge the congregation members and having a song that doesn't really fit into one of these boxes that we have of traditional or contemporary. And maybe it'll speak to you in like a surprising way that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what happened to me when I heard the song, is I'm not as used to folk music, and not very familiar with it, but it's still, I don't know, just meant a lot to me and I got a lot out of it. So I think it's going to be the same for the members here at St. John.
Right. Honestly, I think it's kind of harder not to sing along when you hear it.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
At your church, is there a contemporary service and a traditional?
Yes.
Like, what's the setup of? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we have, I guess the way I would put it is we have like our early services all organ based and I'm the only musician. And then my late service, like the band is able to be there just like with volunteer commitments. That's kind of how it works out. But we incorporate a lot of hymns into our band repertoire.
I've noticed there's been a lot more crossover with songs you've had for late service will be an early service or vice versa.
Right. And the nice, like the opportunity that we have once a year is that our church like worships in only one service during Advent. So we can kind of kind of plan. I kind of plan the year like with that in mind. And then we kind of head out of that with a lot of shared repertoire, which is really fun opportunity.
Yeah, and then both services like follow a liturgy. So you can go to either one and it's going to be the same parts, even if the instrumentation, some of the music might sound a little different. I think there's a lot more overlap than difference.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that the way forward for my church was very much kind of both looking to some very, very nice new arrangements of older hymn texts. But then also just really trying to find the very, very best contemporary music that's really thoughtful and has some of the richness of older hymns, but it's contemporary music. And I think that by really finding good selections of both, I think that's one of the things that ended up unifying the congregation around the music gradually over many, many years. This is not, there used to be fights in my church about, if I have to hear that song again, I'm not coming back kind of thing. And that, it was pretty, just sad,
Yeah, I think music is really important to people. So it's surprisingly divisive. Is.
Yeah. Because it connects with us emotionally, we feel like we only meet God in a certain musical context, which is, who knows, that's a big conversation. But I think, there are reasons. There are reasons why it can be so divisive, for sure. I've always thought of it as not a legitimate cause for disunity between Christians. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Something to,
right. I think it's an opportunity. Like, I don't know. I really enjoy that responsibility of like seeking out new songwriters and composers, whether it's like something that would be considered a hymn with 4 parts or not. That is definitely like one of the highlights of my work, just like discovering people like you. And then I'm a big fan of the cold email, and sometimes it goes really well. So,
yeah, and I'm personally just super encouraged right now. I mean, there's so much music coming out, and a lot of it's really good. And
true,
there's a lot of good contemporary songs. There's the whole stream of like the Getty Universe songs that in some ways does kind of cut across it's not traditional or because they have really hugely CCM.
Their strong Celtic thing going on that's really influenced a lot of songwriters. I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. And they have the hymn book that they just put out. So there's just a lot to drip from, and the old hymns have this benefit that the bad hymns or the not great ones we don't know anymore because there's been generations to let them sift down. So it's a lot of work to sift yourself, through all
sometimes the bad verses
coming out. Yeah, but there's a lot of good stuff. So.
Yeah, years ago it was so funny. It was. I remember an older woman in my church being like, "In Christ alone." Now that's a good traditional hymn, and I was like,
"That's always a great moment."
Yeah, in the grand scheme of hymnody, that was pretty recent. I mean, but it was. I could see why she made that mistake. It's because it is a contemporary hymn. It is, really standing in a tradition of really rich theologically based church music, and so it could be mistaken for an old hymn.
Right. I think my pastor said that he visited a church where they did "In Christ Alone," and they left out one of the verses and they added a chorus, and he was like, "It's made it. It's officially a hymn now.
It's made it."
Yeah. Right.
They altered it and added their own chorus.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's funny. That is kind of a compliment in an odd way, isn't it? Yeah. Made it your own.
Well, thank you so much, Jill and Ben, for coming on and for having this great discussion just about music and theology. And we just really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome. Thank you for having us. Great.
It was a real pleasure.
Very good. And like Olivia said, the song don't listen to the song yet if you're listening to this podcast, but wait until Easter.
It'll be worth it. Yes.
It'll be worth it. Okay.
A lot of build-up.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of build-up.
Blessings on all of your Lent activities and things going on, and Easter preparation.
Yeah. Thank you.
You too.
Yeah, Lord's blessings on yours as well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, St. John. Well, until next time. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye.